Double check.
Yeah, we can ask. We've gotten notifications down our belt somewhere. That might be it.
There are three. There's a 9 o'clock, a 10:30. Okay. Yeah, I'll be here all day. So if you need me for that 1 o'clock, let me know. I'll be here Sunday. So just send Mariana a message and just, add it to my roster. Because I would have to be back at 3 at San Diego State.
Yeah, I think that's what you left out at 3, so
So, well, just let Mariana know I'm here for all those meetings.
Yeah, I'll get confirmation to
Okay.
you just so that we don't have to leave it here.
Okay.
I'll get checked. It's been a marathon. We're hosting like 15 of these in like 3 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, and thankfully we're doing it as a team with so it's a total of 4 organizations like here in Imperial. Hi, welcome.
Feel free to grab some food. We'll get started shortly.
No, in that one. Mr. Meyer?
I forgot to fill this out last time.
Oh, yeah.
I will. I don't know which one. Maybe the CEO. Start on the first one.
So, are you communicating with Beth? Well, I put it down on
Yeah.
CS, so I don't know if it's not 455 5627. How was the event, the fundraiser? Yeah. Okay.
And then so we're using Zephyr, that's primarily, that's exclusively for nonprofit.
What is it?
Right?
Oh, okay.
But it's just like we're, programs on developing, stuff like that, 100% mostly nonprofit.
Again?
And so
That's gonna be.
the tickets are so much, right?
Really
People are donating on top.
That's pretty amazing.
And the environment. Another thing is, I
I know, yeah.
we had some issues with one of the sponsors. ambiance was amazing.
Yeah, so it looked like a great event. I ended up passing out. No, we thought that tarde, I was planning to go, but it looked like a really great event. So I'm glad that y'all were out there. When should we start?
Oh, right.
Pues viene cuando. Yeah, we're good. No one's on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our CERF sector meeting for the youth sector. We're very excited to get this meeting started. Thank you all for being here. I'll just say, si alguien necesita servicios de traducción, estamos baratos. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. As the flyer stated, this is a meeting that we're holding physically, and we're also opening it up for Zoom for anybody that might want to attend virtually. So let's just go ahead and jump into the meeting agenda. So we're just going to have an introduction of who we are as the Southern Border Coalition, the sort of collective coalition that's putting this together in order to facilitate the CERF project here in Imperial County. And then we'll get into some exercises, the basic information you need to know about CERF and how to be a coalition member. And then we'll open up to next steps and any questions or comments that you have from the audience. Like I said, a brief introduction, a welcome from the Southern Border Coalition for the CERF project, which I will explain all of it to you in a moment. There are 8 community-based organizations from both Imperial and San Diego counties convening together as the Southern Border Coalition. I will explain why we are convening in San Diego in a moment. But these are the organizations that are working together with these meetings and facilitate this project. We are working with Comité Cívico del Valle. We also have Imperial Valley Equity and Justice Coalition, which is us, and this is a good moment to introduce myself. My name is Juan Valencia. I'm the community organizer. I'm here with Daniela, Fernanda, and Dylan, our other team members here. We also have Ivy Wellness Foundation being represented by Marisa here in the audience. San Diego and Imperial County's Labor Council, and then we have our San Diego organizations, San Diego Regional Policy and Innovation Centers, University, SCCS, and Universidad Popular. So in order to get us started thinking about CERF and what we can do with this project, before we get into the nitty-gritty of what CERF is, all of the more technical stuff, we want to get us all into the mindset of dreaming, because that is the opportunity that CERF is offering us here. So the Imperial Valley right now with CERF has a historic chance to use state funds to address community needs. Imperial County's residents are seldom ever given a direct chance to voice their concerns and hopes for their community, but that chance is here now. And as I said, since we are holding this sector meeting for the youth advocacy that we hope to do with CERF, that is, I think, also a resonating message, right? Youth in Imperial County are sort of never really given a chance to fully participate as members of a coalition the way we're doing here. So this is very exciting, and the chance to use this state funding is now. So it's our community's turn to start dreaming, so let's get right to it. So what we're gonna do is, as a group, we're going to communicate, introduce yourself to your neighbors, and then we're gonna take 10 minutes, and I guess we should strategize. Do we want to do a by tables, like pairing?
Yeah, we can do pairs.
Mm-hmm. So introduce yourself to your neighbor, the people sitting around you, and take 10 minutes or so to share with them what you've always wanted to see improved or developed in the Imperial Valley. And this is a chance, don't really worry about, logistics, strategy. simply share your concerns, start speaking about your hopes, your concerns for the community, and then after that we will convene as a group and we'll dedicate 5 or so minutes to anyone who might want to share their dreams or the conversations that they have. So let's go ahead and start having a conversation together. Let's start to see what we hope to see.
Well, I love that together a little bit, especially after our conversation. I didn't know you were so plugged in with that program in particular, and like I know it's fun, but I imagine that in that world, like you also have some sense of like how it would need to be developed to better serve our youth, and so I'd love to take some notes on the things that
Yeah, sorry. So my name is Calexico. I'm just
That's amazing.
kind of developing a program. So we're really kind of get to know what are some of the little dreams, aspirations, the way that I see them, or what are things that I seek out in other places, like when I go to San Diego, when I go to LA, like sort of things that I use out for, or hopefully I'll be one of them.
Oh, for the
because I had to know the county. So I think, and I didn't do the small private equity, a lot.
yeah, one thing that I like is great, but
In my free time, I need a music venue. I wanted to go here. We would. We were drivers, right? So we also like sleeping. Y'all would have an opportunity.
I personally have never been to conventions. But I do think that having performing arts accessible for a early age, kind of helps spark more like individuals, like we talk about age, some of these people don't kind of know what Christian
and
is
what
that
are
we're
your
right.
interests in like the industry part?
Like Broadway,
Within this business, but where did it's like not and a treasure and then take something that's in Walmart and then how it so maybe better actually rely on like draft, like more like mission. I don't know. That's what we get. But I'll like what you were sharing. A water drop or something. Oh, you still have this. No, we don't. Oh, you still have that. No, I don't. So it's the opposite of what we should be seeing. So the white just why are those things there? But I mean, it needs to be institutionalized beyond any individual.
Was like, when you take it from right here.
Which is
Well, not just that, but they
It's also like along the same lines.
Whereas us,
It's something along the same lines as like some map for in regards of just like.
Yeah, like, growing up here, so all I always have is like, maybe another mall. Yeah, another mall. Like some plaza somewhere. Like, like when I say me, like I was so like, I don't see that somewhere what's right here. It's like literally us. I see like Tumbleweeds like like when we go section where everything's there. So we always have something to like all the taxes are there. So like it's not very such a limited period of space. So like yeah, like only now we have like one there's always a lot. It's because there's no it's like community. It was like really all the immigrants like ever this it's worse like with the middle school.
I mean, I
Like
think
right
just
next
kind of like all that point, I kind of think about like how many students
it's like 11-year-olds that are
mislabeled as like
11-year-olds.
like not to make their true age or like to kind of be like maybe just the lack of opportunities they have available at that like football isn't their one and thing. So when all these other specifically in Calexico if that's not their activity, like they become a certain or whatever, so you kind of have very outlets to kind of just transfer creativity.
So your vision, what do you see? Like that is hard. Another example of this is hard. So that is on there. Better sports like basketball because like in my old neighborhood, the team was like one playground, two benches, and like a basketball court was like in the middle of the town. The event was on the sidewalks were like open, and then the basketball net down to the gallery. Like no backboards, like it's like. When you hang out, where do you go?
where do you go to school? You can do that. So the watermark is one thing that
collaboration.
Back on.
I also see like green area, like on the my son's like
And you?
and I was in high school and then I was school here in high school because when you go to and that road, there's like green bushes like
Everyone knows everyone goes like sees the nice houses with all their
I go, departments in San Diego County. And another thing that you try to excel is just promoting the systems. I feel like it's like he's still not in that position because he's so small. He's not dealing with the adult end and actually we have a lot of work to talk about stuff more kids.
So we're still seeing a lot of people.
The real hard part is it's really just amazing. I thought it is got a super potential for these kids. I'm like, yeah, my children are like, so it's hard that there's like little power upset.
Alright, so I was myself having an amazing conversation centered on youth and all the concerns and possibilities. So now we'll take 5 or so minutes. Shall we do how we always do it? And the co-conveners that are present here, we're taking notes as we were having a conversation. So now, as a round table, we're going to share, some of the points that were shared in our conversations, where our mind is at. So I can start. I was having a wonderful conversation with our 2 guests back here, and really focused on youth and primarily, the needs and the concerns that we have for the youth in Imperial County. We were specifically discussing, some of the things that we see here in the city of Calexico. We were saying, it is kind of wild that, for youth, the biggest hangout spots are usually like businesses, Walmart, a gas station.
Total Avenue.
Total Avenue.
Outside of the building to like really make your way to
And, like great hangout spots when I was a teenager, but, we would like to see, areas that are, open and inviting. And from there, we were speaking like for those areas to be beautified, to have art, to have youth contribute to the art in those areas, to have it really be a space for and made by youth, in Imperial County. And another, the other main point of conversation that we had was regarding mental health. Substance addiction is a big problem that we have seen here in the valley, and it continues to grow when it comes to drugs and amphetamine, fentanyl. So we were saying, we would like to see more, concentrated efforts to mental health, having more centers that are more inviting for the youth to voice their concerns and not be made to feel, guilty or being shamed for their actions, but really providing genuine help and a genuine welcome. So that was the big part of the conversation we had, and pass it on.
do you want to share?
Sure. I can tell you what my main concerns were, and this is from history. I started working in the nonprofit sector in Imperial County back in the 90s, and one of the biggest challenges or concerns that we encountered was that it's great in the end that San Diego County wants to collaborate with us, but our experience is that a minute percent of the money comes here, and yet our data is what's used to obtain those funding. So I'm hoping that we can circumvent that and actually get the funding directly to Imperial County. We have Jose Maya used to work for me back in Calexico. He was instrumental in developing student well-being, and I would love to bring what we had at one time back to Imperial County, focus our energies on our youth, their future, because they are our future. What can we do? We can bring some of that, all of it back, and enhance what we did back then. Have safe places, have extracurricular activities.
One, I agree on. The next group.
I was with Miriam and Lucy. Y'all want to share? Or you want me to share? Go ahead.
I think we all three agree that better public spaces and just like things to do for youth, because like you guys mentioned, like you can sleeves are broken, the basketball net is not even there, the benches are dirty, homeless people using them, they're not the cleanest of spaces. And then, what else did we talk about? Yes, better parks, better infrastructure, greenery, like, I want to see, like, I think you mentioned art, like, just make it feel, like, comfortable, and, like, I want to stay here for the youth, for us, the youth, to keep contributing to this economy, instead of being like, oh, I'm going to move to San Diego because it's better. Like, we want to be that San Diego for ourselves.
Thank you for your comment. And that's part of the focus is that it's the youth that are gonna potentially receive benefits. They're the future. Absolutely, yes. Dylan, if you would like to debrief this.
So at our group, we were kind of hitting a lot of similar topics that everybody here was speaking about. Just kind of thinking about like leisure activities. Another thing you mentioned here was like a community farm, but really kind of trying to provide areas where youth can really thrive and have like a safe space to really just, be themselves, hang out with friends, do whatever it is they choose to kind of do with the space. And so something that kind of also came to mind was kind of either the lack of or wanting to bring more of like a performing arts type of sector or activities down here. We've identified like a few schools like Calexico High School. The Calexico High School currently has like a theater class, and they do like a once-a-year performing arts performance. I mentioned I brought up like Sabapa, the program is like Southwest, but definitely these are few and far between opportunities that not everybody necessarily has access to. And so, one of the things also from that discussion was how sometimes it's not until people leave the valley that they get the opportunities to kind of see like what their interests are, or they don't really get them to kind of be fully realized. And so to kind of have these opportunities at a young age can kind of hopefully jumpstart, a person's interest into what kind of it is that they want to kind of do. What else? Am I missing anything else? Yeah, well, that's
wonderful. It sounds like the conversations were very rich and engaged, and also, as I'm sure we've noticed, that even though we were in separate groups, there is a cohesion, right, to like the kind of points that we were bringing up. We are all sort of very generally aware of our needs, and as we were saying, our needs for equity in the valley, the needs that we have here for youth specifically. So all of this is, the conversation that we're hoping, is going to be involved as we start to now present to you CERF, what it is, and how you can get involved. So what is CERF? And this is going to be sort of like the more informational part of our presentation, but still I will just try to give you the most essential information, and specifically how you can get involved, right? Like what your involvement, what your voice is. So, what is CERF? CERF stands for the California Economic Resiliency Fund. This is a program. It is a $600 million state investment to support inclusive regional planning and the development of high priority economic development projects that benefit disadvantaged communities, create high road jobs, and transition the region to a net zero emissions economy. Of the $600 million funding being awarded by the state of California for this program, $65 million is being dedicated to planning grants known as Phase 1, which is the phase that we're currently in. The planning phase, getting together with the community, starting to have these conversations, and specifically meant to identify community needs and design strategies to create and maintain quality jobs across the state. And as you see, one of the big focuses is creating quality jobs in this region, which is one of the big points that we were hitting on as we were discussing, youth-specific concerns. So, very relevant for our sector discussion today. And for the Imperial Valley, this means a historic state investment specifically meant to address our long-standing economic, employment, and development concerns. So for this phase, and this is where I explain, for the phase 1 of CERF, the state is being divided into 13 different regions, with each region being awarded $5 million for these planning grants. And Imperial County has been paired with San Diego County as the southmost 13th region, and we we are known as the Southern Border Region. That is the name that CERF has designated for our area along with San Diego County. That is why we are known as the Southern Border Coalition. We are facilitating here in both Imperial and San Diego counties. And as was brought up, one of the big points of our conversation with CERF in convening as the Southern Border Region has been fighting for equity and representation for Imperial County, even if we are working together as one region. So this is, I think, the big point of interest for our attendees is where do you come in, right? That there's this big fancy state investment of millions of dollars, but what can we do, when it comes to this project? So you've attended the meeting. That's already a fantastic first step. And for these meetings and attendance representing all the county's diversity is crucial to ensure the process that's being laid out is representative of the entire community. And that is the reason why we are dividing into sectors and specifically advocating for sectors that represent disadvantaged communities. And CERF bylaws in the Southern Border Region specifically, as far as I'm concerned, right, like the one region that is working for bylaws that have been defined to make sure a regular community resident has as much say in voicing the community's needs and deciding its future projects as the usual leadership figures who are almost always at the home of such projects. We are working to ensure your voice matters in the state project. So essentially what we're doing is, we are convening with community-based organizations, with community leaders, but we also want to include community residents who can use their lived experience, right, in this region to sort of map out, much more clearly what are the necessities, what we need to bring here specifically.
Just to kind of add those bylaws, we felt like it was very important for the reason that you mentioned that we often have to really ensure that there's some equity when San Diego's given some funds, when they're supposed to share with Imperial, sometimes there isn't as much equity. And so the bylaws were something that this region created, but we've heard from other regions that are doing a similar process that they're going to adopt similar bylaws because they really valued how our bylaws describe what we mean by equity. Like, what do we hope that everyone, the mindset with equity and inclusion that we hope everyone that participates, commits to and continuously assesses whether we're doing that and ensuring that, that everyone kind of is able to participate. So we might see those bylaws that were created here in other parts of the state.
So that is where you come in, because we are working to ensure the voices of everyone matter. We want as many people to sign up to become coalition members. These are the 15 stakeholder sectors that are being represented in the coalition. So we have been working to hold meetings specific to all these sectors because this is essentially how CERF is going to be structured. This is the communication that's going to be happening at the regional and sub-regional level, as coalition members convene, that will be through sector-specific meetings, and then that information will be taken to larger meetings with other sector members, other sector meetings. So just to go through what the sectors have been designated for this project, we have labor sector for worker centers, education and training, workforce development entities, economic development, business and employers, government, philanthropic organizations, environmental justice, disadvantaged communities, grassroots and community-based organizations, California Native American tribes, youth, LGBTQIA+ people, and farm workers. And as we've laid out through the tables here, there is a guide to the CERF sector, so to anybody who might want additional information on how these sectors are being defined, who we would like to participate, each one that is there for you to read and take with you. So, throughout the presentation, I've been mentioning coalition members, sectors. This is essentially what we are doing. We are hoping that coalition is made up of as many community residents as possible. So Membership is open to nonprofit organizations, tribes, local and regional governmental entities, individuals, and other private entities. And at these meetings, to sort of further drive the point, like we want as much attendance as possible. This way we're providing food, childcare, and interpretation if they are requested to ensure as many people can become members. So if you go out and you want to invite more people to continue to come to these meetings, I think these are great points to share around with the community. That we are looking out for their needs to ensure that they attend. And what you have to do to be a coalition member, all you have to do is complete and sign the coalition member form. There's QR codes that are tables that you can scan. It's a very simple questionnaire, and then you sign up and to receive more information and review any of the materials that you might want to review. And you are a coalition member, and then you can also start to think about which of the stakeholder sectors best describe you. You can choose two, with one serving as your primary sector affiliation. Of course, if you have any more questions about that, we'd be happy to assist if you want to sign up, and we hope that you do. So, being a coalition member, what does it mean? Coalition members include anyone who signs the coalition member form. Each of the 15 sectors that I showed you earlier will be structured to have coalition members and a sector lead or sector leads, depending on the size of the sector. So those are the roles that are available. Sector lead elections will be held in the future as we start to structure each sector. With each sector to have coalition members to represent each sector. Sector leads in the future as we start to develop the sectors and leaders emerge from them. They will have the responsibility of keeping communication at regional and sub-regional levels. So essentially, this would be the person or persons who would receive information and communication from the state about the CERF, from the San Diego sector leads, because we are working in partnership with San Diego County, and the sector leads from Imperial County as well, and members from their individual sectors. So that would be the role. A sector lead is key, of course, to coordinating and convening their sector. But I just want to stress this: being a coalition member can be as simple as signing the form, attending these meetings, and making sure that your voice continues to be heard, that we continue to voice our needs and concerns. So this is a timeline, a very simple timeline. Essentially, with phase one, as we convene the sectors, as we start to have these conversations, the deadline that the state has given us is December 31st, 2023. At the end of phase one, we would hope to complete, the regional economic plan, which will, include all of these fancy terminologies that, at the moment we're still working on defining how they will work out, but we will have experts that will, walk us through the process, and we will work with them, and it'll be that same kind of conversation as we approach this deadline. And then just to sort of further drive the point home, how this relates to you, planning documents, which will be the thing that we'll be working to produce throughout phase one. Planning documents, which is kind of fancy term and actions that you might feel maybe can I really afford lunch to this conversation, or well, I'm here to tell you that planning documents take into account community feedback in a variety of ways, and so your voice is very valuable because just some of the examples that we have here. When you ride the bus, the idea about where the route takes you begins in a transit plan adopted by the Imperial County Transportation Commission. So that takes community feedback into account. Your team participates in Outward Bound, school program. Funding is provided based on a competitive application that includes specific information about your community and its needs. Local workforce training activities are overseen by a local workforce board, which adopts a local workforce plan to guide its section, looking at what the needs for workforce training are in any given region. And right now, we have a Lithium Valley Commission project going on in the north end, near the Southern Sea, and that is, including rapport building based on infrastructure, water use, all these things. So, if you feel like, CERF, it's a good idea, but how much could I be engaged, as a community resident? Well, so many programs, in our region are based on the kind of feedback that we're hoping to gather. So it is very, very important for us to get as much community as possible. So that is CERF, that is the Southern Border Coalition, the entire conversation I'm currently with sectors and coalition members. So what would be the next step? Now that you've received all this information, now that you know how you can participate, now that you know what valuable contributions you can bring to CERF, next steps you can take. If you haven't already become a member, do so today, again, by signing the coalition member form. And in the future, if you participate and you enter a sector that you think represents you and you want to keep that conversation going, fully participate, you can work with the Southern Border Coalition regarding the next steps for phase 1, for planning this regional economic plan, and all the sector structure, sector lead voting, and all of that will be coming in the future. After sector leads are elected, they should be prepared for at least monthly meetings up to September 2026. When this project ends, and this is a point that we also want to stress, the plan is for sector leads to be financially compensated for all the time that they spend working on this CERF project. And also for future meetings that we're hoping to keep convening, to keep bringing in community residents. We are currently in the process of defining and later providing incentives, and we're thinking in the form of gift cards, for future meeting attendees. Because again, we really want to drive the point home that we want people to come here and voice and offer their voice through this big project. So that is the presentation. That is CERF. That is how you can get involved. And now we can use the remainder of the time to open the floor up for questions or comments, any other points of conversation that anybody might want to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say to our youth here, it's CERF has felt in many ways, we felt like having a youth sector was really important, and so the state wasn't previously considering that. And so we, it was like our co-conveners that were like, no, we think youth should be part of the conversation, but we also recognize that some of these conversations maybe like feel less accessible, and so we love your feedback and ideas of like how we can kind of bring folks out. Like, this is about helping shape the future of the Imperial Valley, and like, how we can, we could have more of these meetings, but perhaps we could see if the school will welcome us to like have a meeting after school, or in like a different setting. I'm even open to like going to the park and like having, since the weather's gonna be nicer during the day, we could have like a picnic and surf, something like that. Whatever, you all think that would make it so that, it's also fun, that we can vision together and like plan together. And so that's just like my own like reflections about this process. And, we are hoping to facilitate for you to see their role in helping shape and make decisions statewide and for our valley. So that's just more from my heart to you all.
Yes, and I feel like it's, absolutely, it's very important. And one of the other, big things that you all can do as coalition members, if you would like to join, and I did mention it in one of the slides, but you can go out and tell people that you think would want to be involved, or again, you can have conversations with us, I really like what y'all are doing with the youth, but you could be as frank as y'all are doing the outreach all wrong, this is what y'all really need to do, because we're also here again to listen and learn how to be as engaging and accessible as possible.
Are there reflections from anyone?
Any
Questions?
I think that's a good idea that you had reaching out to schools, or I mean, I could even help, at least from here at high school, I could like pass out those flyers you guys had. So, but yeah, reach out for schools, having like maybe little speaking events, stuff like that, and so good social media, because kids are on the phone.
Yeah.
We might need to ask you how we're doing on ours and see what else you recommend.
I'm
Just
trying.
reach out to me and I'll like make it for you.
I'm 30, but I'm trying. Let's see what else.
What about abroad? How can we reach out to more students abroad?
Probably like how she said with like handing out more like flyers and like posting about it more because like that's how like kids can get their like news events and everything. So yeah, just like with, like just spreading the word more about this.
Yeah. And I really think this is where the actual youth that's in attendance in these meetings can help. Because youth can they are part of these spaces that are frequented by other youth. So you have more direct access versus the grown-ups going and there's already that separation.
And like Juan mentioned, there is going to be an incentive for attending, and it's going to be in the form of a gift card. So all the youth that attends will be receiving a gift card. I think it's $50 per meeting, so it's really worth your time. And
I also mentioned that because I also oversee EPA's workforce solution in Peel County, and my target population is youth. And we facilitate workshops, and we provide gift cards and things. They're there.
Yeah. That's something that we can, and we are working on, to find like what would be gift cards that, youth would want, right?
Or a format that would be more friendly for you, because our meetings, our valley is pretty big and transportation is a big obstacle, even older people. So if we had a format or a vehicle that we can use, so it'd be a little more interactive, where we can take in more the suggestions and a little more accessible. Like even our wording, I'm sure that a lot of the terms or terminologies are applied in a different way, make it a little more accessible or digestible.
Yes. Yeah, and
I don't want to say you guys are boring, but you guys are boring.
it is a lot of information to try to get out, and that is really something that we would love to look into as well, like making these materials but with youth in mind, right? Like you make it accessible, meaning like this is something that you can participate in, right? It's not just like this big board meeting that we're having. It's interactive and it's inclusive. Absolutely.
Even I've even had like hybrid meetings, workshops where I have a group of youth in a place, and then I had like 27 youth appear on my virtual. Whoa, a lot, and they were actually interactive, but they did get a few cards also, so that incentivizes, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say like virtual access is important, or even just like if they can't come to the Zoom meetings, like having a Google form or like a survey they can still like submit their thoughts to, so like their voice is still heard regardless, and they can just put like their personal information, what sector they want, like they're part of, and like their ideas.
Well, thank you all for attending. Thank you for your incredible engagement and the conversation. Amazing as always. And just one more slide, I'll just leave it up here. A few reminders of where you can get information from us. And of course, we thank you for your time, your attendance. There's still food back there, I see it. So don't let it go to waste. And yeah, thank you all for coming and learning about CERF. Thank you so much.
Quick question, did anybody participate virtually?
Yes. Yeah, we have one person.
Just one? Okay,
Yes.
so how do we make sure they were?
Yeah, so they're going to